Hi everybody. So it's been a month exactly since I did the Vipassana meditation course, and I have been wanting to share with you some of my experience there, in case you're wanting to experience it yourself, and in case you get anything out of me sharing as well. So I'll tell you a little bit the reason I went. So about 7 years ago, I had this incredible experience. I'd already been meditating for about 5 years, and then it was about 2010, and a friend of mine offered a kahuna massage. She said, you might laugh, you might cry, you might, all sorts of emotion can come up. And I thought, oh, okay, wow. I don't think that's going to happen to me, but I'm really down for a massage today. So yes, but I was totally open to whatever might come. And so during the massage, it got to the point where she started massaging my stomach, and a lot of emotion did come up. Stomach's an area that I've had a lot of problems with, digestive disease and various things. And so I had a lot of emotion come up, a lot of sorrow and sadness and old hurts and memories, and memories of traumas and all sorts of stuff. And I was really sobbing. I felt really safe and comfortable with her, so I just let it flow. And then the next thing, it was like something breathed me. The air coming in and out of my body was not a separate thing to me. I was it and it was me, but then it was like this loving, profoundly loving presence or intelligence that was intrinsically part of me, connected to me, but sustaining my life or giving life, or was my spirit. I was reconnected to God. I'd been brought up Catholic, but I wasn't a religious person. I'd say I was a spiritual person, but I hadn't had any direct experience in that way before. And so anyway, I felt completely connected, not just to my breath and to the deepest part of me, but this bliss, this profound love and harmony beyond anything whatever I'd experienced on earth or known or seen on earth, and this profound happiness, joy, contentedness, understanding. Any traumas or upsets in my life all made perfect, beautiful, divine sense. I could see the perfection in everything. I looked at the trees outside and the cushions on the couch inside and the fabrics, and I looked at my hands, and it was like, wow, everything was perfect. Everything was divine. Everything was so exquisitely beautiful, and it was as if I'd just woken up for the first time. I was like, I can't believe I've been walking around like this for 20-something years and not seen any of this life. And so I had tears and tears of joy just washing down my face, and I couldn't find any words to start to describe it. And now all these years later, only just starting to find a way to describe it or name it. So anyway, since then, even though life has had its stresses and ups and downs, I could always access and feel and sense that deep peace, that deep contentment and joy and happiness. And then August last year, 2017, my husband and I lost a baby at 14 weeks pregnancy, and that was profoundly sad and disappointing for us. And I know many couples go through loss of a child in different ways, be it miscarriage or genetic abnormalities or premature birth or stillborn, God forbid, and it's just devastating at any stage. I can't speak for anyone else, but for us it really shook us to the core and devastated us. And so since then, I hadn't really been able to feel as connected to or aware of or in touch with that profound joy and peace and harmony. And so my mind had become very agitated again. The internal mind chatter, the random inner dialogue, had gradually become more out of control again, as it had been in my earlier life. and I didn't have the peace or harmony or contentment in my heart that I could feel. I had moments in meditation and healing and things where I could sort of sense it again, but it didn't stay. So Vipassana seemed like I felt really compelled to do that. I felt very drawn to it, even though I hadn't in the past. Because in the past there was a bit ignorant of me, but I only knew a little bit of information about it. But I felt like for me it was too extreme, too strict, too rigid, because for those that don't know, you probably all know if you're watching this, but it's after you do the initial 10-day course to learn the technique thoroughly, then you can go back to any of the Vipassana centers to do a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day course. But initially it must be the 10 days. And the 10 days involve basically getting up at 4 a.m. in meditation by 4:30, meditating for 10 hours a day for 10 days, and virtually that entire time there is noble silence, no talking, no communicating with the other people participating, no phones, no technology, no texting, no calling, no reading, no writing, no exercising, no yoga, no distractions whatsoever. Just living very simply in simple quarters, eating beautiful food, but just breakfast and lunch and then some tea and a piece of fruit at dinner. And then other than that, just focusing on the meditation technique, the specific teachings, and not blending it or merging it with any other modality or technique or imagination, visualization, contemplation, crystals, incense, you name it, anything that's sort of ritual or spiritual or religious or anything like that. It's just simply you and the Vipassana meditation technique. And so the purpose of it is, one of the purposes of it is to help you to access your subconscious mind. And because any reaction or emotional stress or response or trauma or anything like that you've had in your life, they call them sankharas, is stored in the subconscious mind. And other forms of meditation, I find some other forms of meditation very helpful and effective in helping to do a deep clearing and healing of the subconscious mind. But Vipassana is specifically designed to, because say for example you have a trauma in your life, and from that trauma comes a certain behavior or a certain protective mechanism or a certain response or reaction to certain situations or certain aversions to certain things. So certain meditation techniques or healing modalities might treat these symptoms, these behaviors, these types of things, and help to sort of clear it for a time or get rid of it for a time. But sooner or later, because the seeds or the root of it is still there, new branches or new issues continue to emerge, patterns, behavioral patterns, etc. So Vipassana is about getting right in there to the seed, to the root, to the core of it, and helping to kind of clear it out, and not so much get rid of it or clear it out, but make peace with it and deeper acceptance with it, with what is. No matter how sort of painful or confronting, that you can find equanimity with the pain, and in so doing it creates healing and releases it and allows you to let it go. So it's very profound. So the healing technique itself, I would say, is very simple. It's taught very gradually and slowly, so you can really train the mind to focus. Sorry, Gimli has something to say about it too. But that you can train the mind to focus, that you can train yourself to become familiar and aware of the subtle energy systems of the body. The Buddha knew this, and scientists now know this, and quantum mechanics and quantum physics tells us that everything in reality is energy, including us humans. So if you go right down to the subatomic particles, we're actually just vibration, blinking in and out of existence billions and billions of times per second. So in fact, it's like we're not here more often than we are here. So I digress for a minute, but it's interesting when you think about that the only moment is now. Linear time is our construct and invention. What is it, Papa? It's okay. And so when spiritualists say past lives and future lives and everything like that is all happening concurrently at the same time, simultaneously, all at once, all at one now moment, that it's only an illusion, that it's like moment to moment to moment. And so when we look at ourselves on the deepest layer, the subatomic particles, and that we are blinking in and out and in and out of this reality, billions, like uncountable times per second, it's interesting to see, well, you know, that's us perhaps blinking in and out of every moment, every reality, every time frame, every frame of this movie that we call life. It's mind-boggling. So anyway, I digress a little bit. But one of the things that I love so much about Vipassana is that it's helping to train and focus the mind, clear and declutter and quiet the random inner dialogue, and become more aware and have direct first-hand experience of the subtle energies, the vibration, the true nature of reality on a deeper level, not because of something that you've read or heard or is becoming gradually more accepted new science, but because you've experienced it firsthand. And the other purpose of it, which I love so much, is that once you have reached those two things, focus the mind, quiet the mind, train the mind, come in touch with your true nature, your true reality, the deeper reality, the vibratory, you know, the electromagnetic kind of reality of our bodies, then from there the goal is not necessarily within the 10 days, not necessarily in the next 10-day course you do or the one after if you choose to do it repeatedly. It could be in that course, or it could be years down the track, but that you ultimately find while you're still alive in this life the nirvana within. The joy and peace and harmony, the profound joy that lives inside of all of us and that is accessible while we're alive. And I say while we're alive because depending on your beliefs, but you know, once you die and you go to heaven and there's no pain or suffering anymore, there is just joy and love, profound, unconditional love. But the truth is that we can access that in our lives. We don't have to wait to die to experience that amazing release and re-emergence and connection with oneness, the one, if you like to call it God or source or infinite love or whatever words you use for it. It's quite ineffable. Sorry, that's Gimli in the background. Yes, Papa. And so I think that's wonderful because I feel like the nirvana within is what I experienced all those years ago and what I'd lost touch with. And so to remove myself from technology, society, expectations, pressures that I put on myself, pressures that others put on me, whatever, just step away from everything and spend 10 days in the Blue Mountains with the most amazing scenery, nature, peace and quiet, and just rediscover myself in that way. And so it certainly did provide that for me. And it wasn't an easy path. It wasn't an easy 10 days. And when you dive into the subconscious, and you may do this in your own meditation practice at home, and you know from your own experiences know this already, but when you do it in such a concentrated way, it's really confronting to see just how much anger you have inside, or just how much frustration or how much hurt you might still be carrying around, or frustration, or you know, anything like that. But once you sort of trudge through the mud and allow it to release and clear, then you do feel like at the end, on day 10, we're allowed to talk to each other to help prepare to emerge back into society and to have a chance to share each other's story. And so it was wonderful to have that chance to talk with everybody, because even though we weren't communicating throughout the course, sorry, Gimli's distracting. You could see, you could sense or feel at different times that different ones of us were having a really challenging time, a really challenging day, a really difficult meditation, or something big was coming up for different people at different times. But at the end, when we were all chatting, everybody was so light and peaceful and calm and tranquil and seemed really clear, and the energy just looked really sorry, this is my little friend who's just participating. You didn't like me going to Vipassana, did you? No, we missed each other so much. Anyway, sorry about that. He's so cute and distracting. So it was wonderful to see the absolute transformation in everybody there as well. I definitely felt a transformation. I also felt like for the first week of it, I would say, the right side of my body had a really tough time being there. The left side of my body seemed fine, cool with it. And that's interesting to me, because in energy healing, as an energy practitioner, the right side of the body corresponds to the left side of the brain, the masculine aspects of self, which is all about doing, like going, achieving, pushing, making things happen, to-do lists, past, future, etc. Whereas the right brain, corresponding to the left side of the body, corresponds to the feminine aspects of self, which is all about being, just the now, in the moment, just being. And so at Vipassana, I was just being. I was meditating, I was being with my thoughts, I was taking an inward journey. And so my left side of the body could make peace with the process rather easily. So I thought that was quite interesting. Also, some of the challenges I was working through involved like relations with different men throughout my life that had been like challenging or dysfunctional or different things like that. And so the masculine side of the body also corresponds to your relationship to the men in your life. And so I had, the headache on the right side. I had pain in my solar plexus in my back on the right side only, on my right hip and my right knee, because you're sitting still for 10 hours a day meditating. Like, that's pretty full on. You have little breaks, sure, yes, but pain's going to be inevitable, and you use the pain as a tool to find equanimity in that moment, to not have aversion to it or anger or want to change what is, but just simply to be with what is, be it pain or be it the pleasurable, like the flowing energy, the vibration, the electricity, those subtle energies that can feel so good to get in touch with. You can feel things really flowing and moving and releasing and healing, and it's beautiful. But you're also not to get attached or craving of that. So you're not to get attached or craving of the pleasant sensations, and not to be having aversions or reactions to the painful. So this is a really good analogy for life, that you can find the nirvana, the peace within, regardless if you're in pain or suffering, or if you're having a very happy, joyful time of your life based on external circumstances. So no matter what's happening externally, that you can be aware and experiencing of the deep joy and peace that's deep within each and every one of us all the time. It's just that with our thoughts, stress, life, pressures, comparisons, anxieties, and everything, what comes with life, that we lose touch with it. We can't even feel it. We can't even know that deep, true layer of our nature, our true self, that is intrinsically part of us. So, it's such a wonderful practice that is available to everybody. So you can go to any Vipassana center around the world. You can apply for a course, and it's paid for by previous students who have received benefit from it. And so they've donated money to pay for other people who want to come and experience it too. And at the end of the 10 days, if you have received benefit, you feel that you've gotten something out of it, then you can choose how much you want to donate towards the maintenance of the place or towards students having courses in the future, or you can donate your time and serve at one of the courses to help the running of the place in future. You could do lots of things, and so it's a beautiful community to be a part of. It is a wonderful life-changing experience. They encourage you, of course, as I encourage people, to continue meditation practice daily. Ideally, they say morning and night for an hour. I know that can be really challenging for some people running households and with children and families and all sorts of stuff. But you can prioritize it, of course. And I feel like even if you just fit in 1 hour a day, you're still winning. Because it's, you know, such an invaluable tool to carry on with you. But so, you know, I'll just share 1 or 2 more things as well, and then I'll let you go. But those areas where I felt profound pain, it was quite symbolic and representative on hindsight when I was reflecting back about what issues were coming up at the time, like the solar plexus, self-worth, self-love, and how certain men in my life have challenged that. And so it was on the masculine side, and like, you know, just various things like that. And so on one of the very last days, I think it was literally the last day, one of the last meditations we did all together as a group, it was as though there were these soft, fluffy feathers. I can't really describe them any other way. And they were sort of in my field, in my, not really spatially in my physical body, but in the areas where I felt the pain. And so it was like they were just slowly, gently being drawn out of my body, drawn out of my energy field. And as they were drawn out, everything was so soft and there was no pain whatsoever, even though I'd been sat there for a long time, and the pain can get, you know, quite intense. But after this experience of this removal of things from my field that had now softened, and I had managed to find some equanimity with, they were just releasing. And I felt very light and peaceful and blissful afterwards as well. A client of mine, a friend of mine, had described that years ago he actually did the Vipassana course, and at the time it was challenging for him, some of the theological things that they shared in the discourse, in the lessons, some of the ways that they taught it. You know, of course you don't have to agree with everything they're saying or teaching, but you could still just go with an open heart and open mind, receive it, practice it, take away with it what resonates for you, what is valuable for you, and leave the rest behind. So that's what he was doing. But over the years had learned many meditation modalities, but since chatting with me about going to do the course, he decided to revisit his own practice at home. And so he did practice Vipassana for that week, and then within a relatively short time, within the week, he did experience firsthand, directly, the nirvana within, the real bliss and peace. And that lasted 3 days for him, which was beautiful. So that was really nice to hear as well, you know, that 10 years or more down the track, revisiting the practice, that it still opened that door for him to experience peace and harmony within and reconnect with that part of himself that I said as well, we all have all the time. We just don't access it usually daily. So yes, anybody can do it from anywhere around the world. Doesn't matter what religion or belief system, or if you're atheist, they just make it very practical, very pragmatic, very tangible, scientific, methodical, and rather simple but not easy. And so I think that's pretty much all I was going to share about that for now. But yes, so I'm grateful that it helped me reconnect with the peaceful, joyful part of myself inside. Yes, life always has its stresses and ups and downs, but I can feel deep down that more harmony and peace and joy. And that's part of why I do what I do as an energy practitioner and meditation teacher, because I want to help share the path with people to open the door and lead them to that nirvana within for themselves as well. I think it's the most important thing we can do for ourselves in our lives, and also not just for ourselves, but it will make us, when we can all experience that, I think Abraham Hicks calls it dying before we die, bringing that joy, bringing heaven to earth, if you will, that will make us better spouses, better parents, better members of the community, more compassionate and loving towards each other, more connected to nature and our planet, and much more just caring and considerate of all living things around us. And that is super duper important, beyond important for the world now, for our communities now, and for our life. It's the best gift we could ever do for ourselves and for others. So thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me. Visit my website if you feel like it and want more information on my services and workshops and various things like that. Get in contact with me if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And upload your stories to Vipassana as well, about Vipassana, to YouTube or wherever too, so I can hear more of your stories. We can connect, we can share. And also one last thing that I thought was quite interesting, when I felt really compelled to share more of my experiences and life, and part of you sort of goes, oh, who wants to hear about that? Why does that matter? That voice of doubt inside. But I sort of asked my spirit guides the other day, like, what is the relevance of sharing? How can it be of help to me or others? And the sentiment was sort of like hard to put into words, but basically that when you share your story, when you share things that you've been through and healed from, not only can it potentially inspire and help and heal others, and make them feel comforted and not alone, so that in itself is very important, but it can actually be an important step and phase of your own healing, because when you can say plainly and simply, this happened, this occurred, this happened in my life, and it's not with overwhelming emotion or uncontrollable emotion, or with shame or guilt or cringing or behind cupped hands, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling people this, or exposing myself in this way, or looking so vulnerable or anything like that. When you're simply just sharing, this is what I've been through, this is how I found it to feel, this is how I moved through it, and so on and so forth, then it is part of the integration process. Because with healing, it's not, well, in some ways it sometimes can be, but it's not about clearing away or getting rid of, you know, something that happened to you, or diffusing it completely, because it's part of your experience and your story. So it's part of you, and it's relevant to the creation of who you are, who you've become from your more wise, expanded, compassionate state. It couldn't have happened if you hadn't have been through that. So when you can get to a place of just simply sharing your story, sharing what you've been through and everything, without the emotion sucking you down into a dark place, or without the shame making you want to cringe and hide, or without guilt making you just feel sick to your stomach. When you can just share openly, vulnerably, and with compassion, that is another key and beautiful step in your healing. And it's one of those things where it's like, as you heal yourself, you can help heal others. As others are being healed, you too are healed and more whole and integrated and at peace and acceptance with what is, and not only accepting but joyful no matter what is. So I hope I've made some sense, because I'm an air sign, and so my mind is here, there and everywhere. But I very much enjoyed talking with you. I look forward to connecting with you more, and I'll see you again soon. Have a good day.